Welcome to Trek London News Podcast, where we bring you stories that resonate with communities and shake the world. Today's episode covers a tragic event at Apalachee High School in Winder, Georgia. A devastating school shooting that has left a town in mourning. It's a story of loss, warning signs, and unanswered questions. It started like any ordinary day at Apalachee High School, but on this fateful morning, a 14-year-old student, Colt Gray, made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Armed with an AR-style rifle, Colt opened fire, killing 2 students, 2 teachers, and injuring 9 others. The community was left reeling, but what makes this story even more disturbing? Colt was on the radar of federal authorities nearly a year earlier. In May 2023, Colt Gray had been investigated by the FBI after anonymous tips surfaced online. Threats of a school shooting, complete with images of guns. Yet, despite this, authorities concluded there wasn't enough evidence for an arrest. They interviewed Colt and his father, who admitted to owning guns for hunting but assured police his son didn't have access to them. Colt denied making the threats. But fast forward to this tragic day in August 2024. At 10:20 a.m., Colt Gray returned to his high school, this time with deadly intent. He opened fire in the hallways, targeting his classmates and teachers. Within minutes, 4 lives were lost. 2 young students, Mason Schermerhorn and Christian Angula, both 14, and 2 dedicated educators, Christina Irami, 53, and Richard Aspinwall, 39. The scene was chaotic, students and teachers running for cover as gunshots echoed through the halls. One student, Lila Sayrath, recounted how Colt left their classroom only to return moments later, armed. Thankfully, another student refused to let him in, but Colt moved on, shooting into the classroom next door. For the survivors, the horror will be etched in their minds forever. 9 others were injured, including the school's golf coach, whose daughter shared an emotional update on his recovery. This was a community torn apart in minutes. Now, we're left asking, could this have been prevented? Could authorities have acted sooner, given the online threats Colt made last year? The FBI claimed there was no probable cause for further action, but those questions will haunt many in Winder. Police responded quickly, with officers arriving just minutes after the first 911 call. Colt surrendered without resistance and will now be tried as an adult. The investigation continues, but so far, no clear motive has been identified. As the town of Winder comes to terms with this tragedy, they held a vigil that evening. Hundreds gathered to honor the lives of Mason, Christian, Christina, and Richard. 4 lives taken far too soon. This shooting marks the 23rd school shooting in the U.S. this year. Each one, a painful reminder of how vulnerable our schools have become. That's it for today's episode of Trek London's News Podcast. As we await answers and seek ways to protect our schools, let's remember the victims. Thank you for joining us. If you found this episode impactful, subscribe and share your thoughts.